So, on today's podcast, we have a very special guest. We have Jeremy Echols. He is a stage 4 colorectal cancer survivor and a 2025 Fight CRC ambassador, which is awesome. So, welcome to the podcast, Jeremy.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Very welcome. We're very happy to have you. So, kind of just to start, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, and what part of the country you live in.
Sure. So, I am originally born and raised in Alabama. I live in Houston, Texas now. So I like
Nice.
warm climates. But yeah, so I studied engineering when I was in college. I work as an IT professional now in the oil and gas field. I've been working for 16 years. So
Wow.
yeah, feels
Wow.
like I just got started not too long ago.
No, that's awesome. What a great field and growing field. And and being that you're in tech, and not in health or public health, things like that, what did you know or hear about colorectal cancer
I
originally before you got
Before I
there?
got
Yeah,
diagnosed,
yeah.
I honestly didn't know much. I knew at some point when I got to be like 50 or older, I should get screened for something. But
Hmm.
I don't have any known family history of colorectal cancers.
Oh wow.
And like you said, I don't have a medical background. So it wasn't anything that I was really exposed to growing up.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. It's something I'm always curious about with people because there's usually a different level of knowledge, right, across the country, but also across fields a lot of the times. And it's so important. We, always kind of want to gauge and find out if people who are outside the health field, because so many have heard anything about it before. And that is what I've commonly heard, which is interesting. That it's yeah, I know I got to get some screening tests
Right.
in
Yeah.
the future. Don't really know what they are specifically, how serious, but prior to 50, there's
Yeah,
not much.
and I wasn't worried about it at all
Of course.
and I didn't know, like you said, I didn't know what even getting a test, what does that really mean? Is it something that's gonna be painful? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. No, no, absolutely. And I know when you initially kind of started experiencing symptoms, it was abdominal pain.
Right.
If you could talk a little bit about kind of how that started and describe what that pain felt like, because there are lots of different, whether it was sharp or that type of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So, I've always been very active.
Mhm.
So, I've, like, pulled muscles just in, like, working out or just playing sports or whatever.
Sure.
So, I started noticing some abdominal pain, and I didn't really think too much of it because I figured maybe I just pulled a muscle or something after a workout.
Sure. Absolutely.
But over time, it started to feel a little different. Like, this is a pain that I
Mhm.
haven't really experienced before. It was very sharp. It didn't last for a long time, but
Okay.
when it did hit, it would, like, cripple me. So if I were just
Wow.
walking and it would stop me in my steps.
Mm.
So that probably went on consistently for almost a month.
Wow. That's a long time. And was it in terms of location? I'm just curious,
It
right
was
side, left
on
side?
the left
On the left
side.
side. Okay. And lower,
Yep,
left side,
on the
lower.
left side.
So you figured maybe.
And it was in the same area every single time.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, that really alerted you too, because I'm assuming when you're talking about working out, sit-ups,
Right.
pull-ups,
Right.
like hardcore stuff. And yeah, no, that makes sense. That's interesting. And kind of prior to everything, and at around that time when you were having this pain, did you already have, out of curiosity, like an established primary care doctor
Yes.
you went to
Yeah.
regularly? Okay,
So I'm not one of those guys who's like, I never go to the doctor. I was consistent with going and getting like annual physicals and checkups, and that was it. Like up until
wonderful.
I got diagnosed, I was what I call medically boring. I would
I like that.
I'd go get my physical once a year. Everything would look good. It's okay. Well, I'll see you next year, and I wouldn't have to worry about anything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, and it's always interesting to hear because a lot of guys are not as good
Yes,
as you
that's
are, honestly, about going to primary care. So I was very curious about that.
I have learned more about that at just
Oh, I
being in this
bet.
space and
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
involved here. So,
Yeah. No, I think that's wonderful to hear. And how long would you say the time was between when you first started experiencing the abdominal pain and when you went and were actually, told like you should go get a screening, you should go get a colonoscopy?
so it was probably around 6 weeks.
Okay. It's not
I
bad.
was feeling the pain for a while, and I remember one Sunday I went out for a run, and in the middle of my run, it hit me so hard, I stopped.
Oh my
Like, I was
goodness.
like, "Okay, I have to find my way to my car," and that was the day I said, "Well, maybe I should
Yeah.
call and see if I can get an appointment with the doctor." Didn't
Yeah.
really do that, but I knew that at that point, like, maybe this is
Sure.
something different, something I could be at least be more mindful of.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
absolutely.
So from there, actually between me having the abdominal pain and
Mhm.
getting a colonoscopy, I started experiencing other symptoms. So I
Okay.
noticed that I had some blood in my stool.
Okay.
And when I saw that, that was consistent for like 2 or 3 days. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is
Oh,
something that's very different. So I'm not going to waste
yeah.
a lot of time. So
Yeah.
I actually went in and saw a colorectal surgeon, and he's the one who
Oh.
recommended the colonoscopy for me.
Oh, wow. No, that was extremely, extremely smart, but also very interesting. It's always interesting to hear kind of people's path to finding their diagnosis and how, how many people, how long it takes between the time you experience the symptoms, but also how many people that you go to see prior to that and
Yes.
who those people are.
So
So a colorectal surgeon, wow, very smart.
so my and again, as I've been talking to other people in this
Sure.
space, I've learned those same things. I was
Yeah.
very blessed and very fortunate. So I happen to have a relationship with a colorectal surgeon. So when I saw the blood in my stool, I didn't go to my PCP to get a referral to a
Yeah.
GI to
Yeah.
get a referral
Yeah.
to someone else.
Hmm.
So I actually bypassed all of that by going directly to. I actually called an office that I knew.
That's
The
amazing.
guy that I knew wasn't available, and they were like, "Well, he's booked out for the next 6 weeks." And she's like, "Well, but we have someone who's kind of new. You can see him
Hmm.
next week if you like to." Like, I will see anybody. So yes,
Yeah.
I'll go see. So I ended up seeing someone that I didn't really know, just who
Oh,
happened to work under someone
oh,
that I
that's
had met with
so,
before. So, and that
no.
was a blessing. And thankful for him. I don't understand why a lot of people don't do this,
Yeah.
but he said, "I don't think it's anything serious, but I'm going to do a colonoscopy first to rule out something serious, and then we
Hmm.
can work our way backwards." Which, which what I'm hearing and talking to a lot of other people, that's not really the normal case.
Exactly.
So
And
that really saved me a long time of being
oh,
misdiagnosed or
absolutely.
not diagnosed at all.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, that is not the regular case. People wait to see if something gets better or
Right.
all stuff in our age group.
Right.
So that's fabulous. So they
Exactly.
were like totally on it and were like, let me go and do what you needed to have done in to begin with and have that instead of delaying it. So yeah, that's definitely the case. What you're hearing is for sure. And kind of, when you found out the diagnosis, kind of, and you were initially right then and there after having a colonoscopy, I assume is when they told you.
Oh.
Oh,
No.
really? No, because a lot of times they come right out and they bring you the results.
So I
Wow.
remember I was kind of coming to, and I heard the surgeon say, "Hey, we saw something. Don't really know what it is."
Mm,
It's like it could be cancerous. It might not be. We
hmm.
don't know until we can do a biopsy. So we're gonna do a biopsy, get the results. And he said, "In the meantime, I want you to go get a PET scan."
Oh,
And I didn't know what a PET scan
of
was.
course, yeah.
So actually, no, it was a CT. So
CT. Okay, so you knew that, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but he's like,
But
go get a
still,
CT
why?
scan.
Yeah.
Right, but it wasn't explained to me why. And
Wow.
when I went to go get the CT scan, I remember there was a nurse. She was looking at my chart, and she looked at me, and she goes, "You're too young to have this." And
Wow.
I started freaking out because I was like, "I don't know what I have. So what does it say
What
on
is
the what is
this?
it? What does it say on the chart?" And she goes, "Oh, I can't say what's here. You have to talk to your doctor."
Oh my
It's like,
god.
"Well, why are you even talking?" Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's where I really started to think maybe this is more serious than what I've been led on to believe. And
Mm.
then I found out it was colon cancer, which was how I found out was really interesting also.
Yeah,
So,
please share. Yeah.
so I actually found out I got diagnosed through a voicemail at work. I missed the call on my phone. I don't even check my voicemail all that often,
Yeah,
but I
yeah, yeah.
missed the call and I listened to the voicemail and said, "Hey, I'm such and such from a doctor's office who I hadn't
Yeah.
heard of, and I'm in oncology, and we want to schedule you for a new patient appointment." And I know how to put two and two
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
When an oncologist says
exactly.
I'm a new
Exactly.
patient and they're calling me, then that means I have cancer, and that's that's
Wow.
how I was told, or that's how I found
Yeah,
out.
what a way to be
Yeah.
what a way to be told. And you're and at the time, kind of what was your initial reaction not only to this diagnosis, but the stage of this diagnosis?
It was, so at first it was denial. It's like, okay, clearly
Sure.
you called the wrong person.
Yeah.
So when I called back and they said, "No, we actually meant to call you." So I was hurt. It was just really painful to
Mhm.
hear the message. I was at work. I like went to a conference room by myself and cried a little bit,
I'm
called my
sorry.
dad and let him know what was going on because he had actually been diagnosed with stomach cancer just 4 months prior.
Oh my gosh.
So I kinda told him, and
Yeah.
he calmed me down a bit.
Yeah. Oh
So, yeah,
wow.
it was really a rough time.
Oh, I can imagine so, and I'm so sorry that the way it played out in terms of, like, you putting these pieces together on a voicemail, not somebody actually sitting you down in their office with a family member and, like,
Right,
how it should
right.
be done. doing that I'm upset to hear.
And even at that time, when I went back, and the first person I talked to, they said, "Oh, well, we can tell that your tumor is young. So we're thinking you might be stage 1. So we're gonna schedule you for a surgery. You get a colectomy, they'll cut the tumor out, whatever.
Yeah.
You might need a couple rounds of maintenance chemotherapy, but we'll determine that later."
So it sounded
So I'm thinking, okay, this is
Yeah.
of if I'm gonna get diagnosed with something, this is good news.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after the surgery I had a PET scan, and in the PET scan it showed that the cancer was spread to my liver, it spread to my aorta.
Oh my god.
So they were like, "Oh, well, instead of stage 1,
Yeah.
then you're definitely stage 4 because of where the cancer has traveled to." And
Yeah.
had they known that prior to my surgery, they probably would have did chemo first instead of doing the
Mm.
surgery first. So it was a lot of miscommunication all throughout the entire process when I got diagnosed. It
Wow.
was
Clearly. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What a way to have all of
a
that
lot of ups and downs, right?
talent. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm so sorry to hear that, but also in sharing your story, I think so many other people it's gonna resonate with, and that so many people in the younger age group deal with
Right.
that level of miscommunication and this runaround essentially
Yeah.
too, on top of it. So no, that's wow. So then after um let's see, so after you took and they found out, they figured out now it's actually stage 4, we've already done a surgery to get out, what we thought was stage 1.
Mhm.
What were the options from there, plan-wise?
So I didn't have a lot of options. It was basically recommended chemotherapy, and this is where my wife was huge throughout my story because she has a medical background. She's in pharmacy.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I met with the oncologist, he's speaking a language that I just don't understand
Of
at a
course.
level that's way up here. I'm like, okay, I need you to dumb it down. So she was able to translate a lot of the things because
Nice.
she studied some chemotherapy drugs as part of her residency. So that was just
Oh, that helps a
fortunate for me,
lot.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So he came up with a plan for chemotherapy. He said which drugs they were, and she's like, "Oh, I've studied these. This
Mhm.
that seems appropriate from my knowledge as well." So
Yeah.
that was just a blessing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So
Blessing from the
I
Lord.
went through infused chemotherapy, and I took oral
There's an
chemotherapy.
oral
So
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Okay. And how many rounds would you
I did
say?
15 rounds of the infused,
Wow.
and then after infused chemotherapy, I did the Fox, and then after
Mhm.
that, I continued on the oral for probably another 4 or 5 months.
Wow. Wow. And during that time, I assume you ended up taking, as far as work, work life and other things, just a break from that fully, or did you try
Uh,
because 'cause you're a tech guy?
so I actually worked. So I took time off after surgery. So when I
Of
recovered from the
course. Yeah,
surgery, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
5 or 6 weeks. Other than that, I worked the entire time.
Did you really?
And yeah, so
Wow.
it's funny. I was explaining it to my current boss now. He didn't know that I had gone through that because
Sure.
this is 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was telling him about it. He was like, "Oh, well, it's awesome that you're so dedicated during that time." I was like, "No, I don't think I was dedicated. I just wanted to think about anything else. I didn't want
Exactly.
to sit at home worried about, oh, am I going to survive this?
Yeah.
Because if I that alone time, I'm going to end up planning my own funeral in my head.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I need some type of distraction." So I
Yep.
was welcoming work at that point.
No, that makes complete sense. That was very, very smart to do. And as far as resources, I'm very curious. So here you are, a young onset
Mhm.
colorectal cancer, you know, individual. You're a young guy. What were kind of the resources that you were offered? Like, were there things that you found that were tailored towards you as a younger person? Were there things tailored towards you being a young guy, too, or was it hard to find those things?
So through my doctor's office, there wasn't
Mm,
really much. I got connected
mm,
with a genetics counselor, so we did
okay,
genetic testing. I got
smart.
connected with a dietitian who basically just said, "If you want it, you can eat it." Like while you're going through treatment, because
Nice.
they were just so focused on we don't want you to lose too much weight. So
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you can keep down to just eat that.
yeah.
But other than that, there weren't a lot of like there weren't a lot of support groups that were in the
Mm,
oncology office. I did find like through my own searches on social
yeah.
media. I'm a good social media lurker. I'm not really much too much of a sharer,
That's okay.
but I found pages like Fight CRC,
Mm,
Colorectal Cancer Alliance. So it was through my own efforts in searching, and even in that. I was really hopeful to find not just young men, but young
Sure.
Black men
I was gonna ask
specifically
you,
that I could
yeah,
relate
yeah.
to. And there aren't really a lot. I think men in
Yeah.
general aren't as open about the things that we're going
Yes.
through. So
Yeah, that's why I was very curious if you had found things that were tailored more towards what you needed and that were helpful. So yes, but had you not, to your point, had you not been searching,
right.
your doctor, your nurse,
Yeah,
weren't handing and saying,
they
"Here
were
we've
not saying
got a."
here are some resources
Yeah.
that you could reach out to. And then
Wow.
here I find out about like Man Up to Cancer and all these
Yes.
amazing
It's a great
organizations.
organization.
But that was through my own efforts. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. No, that's very interesting. Yes, very thankful for Fight
Oh
CRC.
yeah.
They
I
are
love Pfizer.
they
That's
are
why I'm here.
phenomenal. That's why you're
Yeah.
here. That's why we're all here. And in terms of survivorship, kind of what does survivorship look like for you? For 5 years now. What are some of the things that how's things kind of the trajectory of that? Were things a little bit different during that first year? I would assume than they are
Yes.
now. Yeah.
So you can imagine initially you're going through treatment. I'm seeing some type of medical professional on a weekly basis or
Mhm.
in communication. And then
Yeah.
one day it's, hey, you're no evidence of disease.
Mhm.
Everything looks great. And that's something to celebrate. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we'll see you in 3 months. But then there's a part of me that's like, wait, I've kind of gotten accustomed to this level of like monitoring to make sure everything's okay. It's taking a 3 month break, even the right thing to do. So I kind of struggled with that.
Mhm.
Like, is what's going to really happen if I don't do anything, if you don't see me for 3 months, is there going to be a recurrence? So that first time there was a lot of, have you heard the term scanxiety?
Yes.
So,
Yes, we actually recently did a podcast episode on it. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
It's a real
I
thing.
had severe scanxiety that first time after waiting for the 3 months. And
Mm,
so now, so we did that for a little over a year. Every quarter, I would go in and get an MRI and get a CT scan just to make sure
good.
everything looks
Yeah,
still clear. And
yeah.
even now, 5 years later, I still get an MRI or a CT scan about 2 to 3 a year.
Okay. And then in as far as any like daily medications or daily life changes that even you're still having now to
So fortunately, I don't take anything,
uh,
no medications. I have like adjusted my diet. So
of course.
I stopped eating pork a long time before I ever got diagnosed, but that was
Okay.
just a personal choice. But
Yeah.
I'm mindful of the things I eat, a lot more mindful.
Mhm.
I don't eat a lot of red meat. I probably consume beef 4 or 5 times a year,
Oh,
like
wow.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I cut back a lot on dairy. I can't say I've completely eliminated it, but I've scaled it back pretty significantly. So those are the major
Those are
changes that
major
I've made.
changes. Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing that it's really, now that you've gotten past all the initial treatment that day to day is just some minor which are actually really healthier for you anyway, the dietary changes, let's be honest, that you're having across the board. But I think it just goes to show so many people that, you know, you can go through that treatment phase and you get to a place where you're not having on a daily basis
Yeah,
anyway
yeah,
to do, all of those things or take medicine. Obviously everybody's different, that, but that there is a place that you can, get to.
yeah.
And
My doctor actually told me, like, early on when I got diagnosed, he was like, we can treat this."
mm,
And he said, "You're likely gonna be on some form of treatment, even if it's just the oral chemo
oh
for the
wow.
rest of your life."
Oh really?
Yes, yes.
Wow. So that was the initial.
So that
Yeah.
was my expectation. So to be
Sure,
here is like,
sure.
well, I haven't had anything of the last oral chemo I took was January of 2020,
Wow.
and here we are 5 years later, and
Yeah.
it's like, I would have never have
Incredible.
imagined that.
Yeah.
But I still even back then, I struggled with, like, establishing a new normal. Because
Yeah.
once I was done, I wanted to get back to, I guess, the lifestyle I had before cancer, and just my body was just like, "No, you can't do a lot of the things that you used to because of what you've gone through."
Sure.
And originally, that was a big challenge for me. I'm fine with it now.
Right. Well, and if you're somebody who likes to work out on a regular
Yeah,
basis and you expect that level of energy from yourself,
yeah.
that's a different thing. How are things in that way?
I've had to establish a new normal.
I was
Let's
gonna
just say,
say,
yeah.
yeah,
So as
yeah,
far as like endurance and strength, it's not what I used to be, and
sure,
I'm okay with where I am.
yeah. No. Well, that's all that matters as long as you're still able to do some things that you love and that you're okay with a level of yeah.
I
No.
feel like working out to me has shifted to more of like my mental sanity more than just like
Mhm.
having like physical goals. It's like it's just therapeutic for me at this point.
Oh, and that's a wonderful thing because I was gonna say, I know we didn't touch on that quite yet, but all of this I'm sure had, and I know you were mentioning in the beginning, a big impact on your mental
Oh,
health, and
definitely.
exercise helps so much
Mm.
with that. What did you find particularly helpful to you kind of throughout this whole trajectory?
So that after getting diagnosed was the first time I actually spoke to a therapist.
Oh,
I sought one out, and I said I want to make sure that at the end of all of this, I don't have some type of PTSD that I've just
mm,
buried. So I wanted to talk to someone throughout the process.
so smart.
And I met with a couple of therapists. I love the one I have now, but even
Mm.
back, the one back then she was just okay. but so we had like 4 or 5 sessions. She's like, "Oh, I think you're fine," and it's like, "Oh, I didn't know there was an end."
Yeah, that's no, very, very
But
interesting and
I've,
very
I've always
smart.
I've always been mindful of like my mental health as well. My
Very
mom
smart.
was she's a counselor, elementary school counselor, so
Oh,
I
nice.
guess she kind of instilled that in me through osmosis.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's so smart because it is. I mean, there's no way about it from everyone that we've talked to, whether you're in the beginning phase, you're in the middle, you're a couple years out into survivorship. Survivorship is its own,
Yeah,
like you said,
yeah,
with anxiety. So
yeah.
it's important to always keep that.
I've covered anxiety. I've had survivor's guilt too, because like I said, my
Mm,
dad and I were diagnosed close to the same time.
mm,
I survived, he didn't. So
I'm
there
so
was there
sorry.
was a moment of
Sure,
why me and not him. So I've had to overcome all those mental hurdles too.
sure. Wow.
There's three. You have to survive cancer physically, you got to survive it mentally, and you have to survive it financially.
Yeah.
And all of those are pretty significant hurdles.
Oh, no, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. And once you got, you transition into this post-treatment kind of
Mm.
life, how did you, because I know you mentioned that you were finding, Fight CRC you found through searching, but how did you become an ambassador? Like, how did all this
Yeah.
happen?
So this is
It's
actually
exciting.
it's something I wanted to do for a while, and
Nice.
for a couple of years, I've seen the requests for if you want to be an
Yes.
ambassador, and I would tell myself I should probably do that. I want to do that one day, and then this last year, I
Uh,
was like, okay, one day could be right now. So it's just a
nice.
space that I've always wanted to be in. I thought back to what I was looking for. Like I said, I want to find someone who's a young black man that I can relate to,
Yes.
and I couldn't find too many of those. Like, well, why couldn't I be that for someone else? Because the statistics show that a lot more young people will be diagnosed. There might be someone else who's doing the same thing that I was doing, just searching for just a relatable face, if anything.
Mm.
So I could be that for someone.
Absolutely, and that's beautiful that you wanted to do that and that you are doing it, and that's true. The numbers, the statistics, are very high. The numbers are high in the next couple of years. What's predicted, and seeing somebody who looks like you, seeing somebody who's the same age as you,
Yes,
what a
yes.
that's like
It's huge,
huge.
yes, because I remember
Yeah.
walking through the infusion center, and I'm looking around, and everyone appears to be in their 70s and 80s, and
Mhm.
then there's me. It's
Yeah.
like it's like it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
something about this just isn't right. It
Exactly, and it is, it helps, it's almost sometimes I feel like indescribable of how valuable it is to have that person
mhm.
who, you know, has those other pieces, totally, different because everybody's body is different, everybody's case is different, but you know, that same those shares those same generational, as we always say, generational challenges
Yeah,
and things, and to be like, "Oh, I'm going through this, so are you." And, what's working for you, this is what's working for me. It really makes such a
right.
difference. So I'm so thrilled that you applied and have become an ambassador, and it's awesome. And as part of being an ambassador, I know you guys do a lot of different work. One thing I'm curious is kind of for other people out there who are in their 20s and 30s and 40s, what is your message about colorectal cancer? What would you like them to know?
That colorectal cancer is something to be taken seriously even at a younger age.
Yeah.
It is not an old man's disease that you just have
Mm-mm.
to check when you get to be 50 years old. The numbers of people who are getting diagnosed younger and younger they're growing rapidly. I saw where Colorectal cancer is the number one cancer killer in men under 50 and the number
Yes.
two in women under 50.
Shocking.
Yes. So even with the screening age going lower,
Yeah.
being lowered to 45,
Yeah.
it's still something you should be mindful of. Um, Most significantly is to know what the symptoms are and family history.
Yeah.
Because a family history is a huge, even though I don't have a family history in my, let's say for me,
Mhm.
it's still a very important factor.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and there are a lot of people who end up getting diagnosed, didn't know they had a family
Exactly.
history, right? And then they find out and they're like, "Oh, had I known, I could have been tested for this like
Hmm.
10 years ago." So, no, that's a huge, huge key piece and
Yeah, no, I don't
greatly
understand
appreciate.
why families keep those type of secrets.
Neither do
Right.
I, neither do I, but yeah, no, that's a great, great point, but also to your point about there are a lot of people on the flip side who don't, like yourself, and then people don't realize, even though I don't have the family history, this could possibly affect me too, and to have that knowledge, so very, very important. And just kind of wondering, as you're mentioning with, you know, people under the age of 50, and that being very much our focus, obviously, with Why My Health as well, kind of what is the untold story of early onset, we sometimes they say early onset, young onset
Yeah.
colorectal cancer that still needs to be told, in terms of numbers of cases, we can see these numbers, but what is that kind of the story behind this that people you think just don't realize?
That's a good question. I think the main thing is that people tend to believe that it's just an old man's disease.
Mm,
And it's also important just to be mindful of your own health and your own situation. Like people know their body's best, right?
yeah.
And kind of like what we're talking about at the beginning, the typical path through at least the healthcare system here is the
Mm,
path of least resistance. So if you know your own body, like, hey, this is something that I'm experiencing, this is different for me. And a medical professional says, oh, I don't think it's anything. It might be hemorrhoids, it might be whatever it is. Like you have to have enough belief in yourself to say, no, I'm either going to get a second opinion or push back and I would say fight for a colonoscopy specifically, because that's the most effective test to determine if there's going to be something significant or not.
yeah. No,
I know I was in the mindset of, oh, well, this is a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So if they say it, it has to be true. That's not necessarily the case. The doctor isn't an expert in me, and I know me. So I could say, hey, I appreciate your opinion, but I still think that I would like to get another test to confirm that everything's okay.
yeah. No, that's an extremely, extremely important point. You know you best,
Yes.
and for each of us, empower each of us to remember that when it comes to our own health. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. This has been absolutely amazing to hear your story, to hear your journey through everything, and the difference that you're making as being a Fight CRC ambassador and educating and bringing awareness to this as we all fight to make sure people stay as informed as possible.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. This was
you're
fun.
welcome. Thank you.